How you doing, guys? Gore TCE here. Today gonna bring you a quick deck profile. Since yeah, I got second place in my today's tournament. Today's tournament was like stakes were pretty high, so that's the only reason why I decided to play and just to play around. To be honest, I really wanted to play Vanguard for a while. So yeah, today sadly I got second place. Today we were playing for the buy card, so yeah, sadly I didn't got you know the buy card. Lost in the last round due to Shoya Doji and due to some misplays. First of all, it was a misplay, and second, and the other thing was that something happened, and I was gonna get cards from my bind back to my hand, and well, due to quote unquote rulings, even though he didn't declare anything, so the cards just ended up going to my drop zone. So I just literally kind of like needed those cards, to be honest. So yeah, but things aside, to be honest, I mean, things happen, to be honest. But yeah, this deck performed pretty well. My matchups were Vargas first round, second round was Prison. It was a little bit annoying. And third round was Michu, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I didn't have any problems. It was very annoying, that one, but I ended up winning in the grind game with no problem whatsoever. And then obviously Choyu Doji that had that little misplay for sure. But yeah, and I didn't really have too much experience against the deck, so yeah. I'm not gonna go and explain a lot of the cards. I already told you my matchups and stuff. So yeah, first of all, very straightforward. The cards from the Stride deck, you really can't do much with the crest, and then the other crest. So yeah, the 8 G Strides, mainly you're going to go into the Fate Rider. The last deck that I had was just to go into next stage and just win by that, but this one is just more of a make things bigger and just attack with Chronojet at the end. So yeah, now just to get 20 cards out of the way, the PGs with the Elementaria, this came in clutch against Prison. Really like the card. I am playing, didn't organize this, my bad. So I am playing 8 crits and 3 fronts. To be honest, I never saw the fronts. They never came out. I only used them for shield value. Other than that, yeah. Draws, it's just too much. You just really need the shield value. This card's insane, to be honest. I really don't know why I took it off, and I was play testing with another card. This card, it's just, yeah, if you drive check it early game, you're pretty much going to win. But the one time I drove checked this, it was game. My opponent could not take to attack 1 million for sure. So yeah, he was screwed. The 4 crits, and then you really don't have to use the effect triggers, to be honest. They really don't do anything. I would rather play the regular versions instead, 5Ks just in case, because there are situations where I just call triggers and then put them back with Steam Goat, because I am playing the Goat. But yeah, that rarely happens, or sometimes I do call a trigger, or if a trigger goes into my soul, I just put it back with the order. So yeah, that's the triggers and PGs. Now for grade 3s, 2 Chronojets. Yeah, since I'm not winning for the Chronojet by next stage, this is just insurance, just to make sure if your opponent is low on cards, you can just go into the next stage. If not, just go into Fate Rider. So yeah, 1 caliber. Reason why I'm playing this instead of ladder is for the only reason that you at least all the games that I had, I just empty out my board so my opponent could not choose anything, so I really don't need. And the only time they could choose stuff, really didn't have any problem. I really need the counterblast, because I do run through the counterblast pretty fast, and if not, you drawing 2 is actually pretty freaking good. This is the card that I was a little bit iffy, because the first time I play tested this, I didn't really like it, but this time it was a little bit different. Now that we have the Great One, Clockwise Dragon, this card is insanely good right now. The other thing is that you could just counterblast one if you're in grade 4, put 2 cards into the soul, and then draw 1, and then you could just call GG, and GG will soul blast the 2 cards that you put into the soul and go from there. Or you can just put something into the deck, into the soul, and then use the order. I'll go ahead and explain. Use the order to just put the card back into the deck. That rarely happens, but sometimes it works. Either just to have triggers out and stuff. It might sound a little bit weird for sure, but it has happened to me a couple of times. The order, on the other hand, is pretty good. This is just another grade 3. I have had situations where I just like didn't have anything. Either they went to the damage or I just had them on the field. So this is another card to go into the Fate Rider, and the fact that you can just discard it and then choose something, and it just, you know, either your heart or your stride, and the effect is free. It's super freaking good, to be honest, especially if you go through your counterblast pretty fast. This counterblast, the grade 2, this guy right here counterblast. So you kind of go through the counterblast pretty fast, especially if all your strides use counterblast too. So yeah, but this is for the entire lineup. But yeah, same thing. The other thing, if you go first, I didn't go in first today, but while testing, this going first is actually pretty freaking good. So yeah, obviously you have to hard drive. That's the only sad part. But yeah, that's it for grade 3s. For grade 4, grade 2s, really nothing really changed. Playing 4 copies of upstream, 3 copies of forward and revertis. This card against Shoyu Doji really shined a lot, especially if your opponent rushes you. If you have this in hand, you can just go ahead and drop them. Either get rid of their opponent's cards or just call them so you can rush too. At least for me, I did got a GG because first turn I did play the clockwise, put soul charge 1. It was a GG. And then next turn played this, called the GG, soul blast 2, draw 1, and +5. So it was a pretty good column on turn 2. So this card really helps a lot. The other thing is that it soul charges 1 and gets +5. So by himself he's a 15. So he's pretty freaking good. And it pairs well with swirlers, since I'm playing a couple swirlers here. But yeah, the other card that really shined a lot, this was mainly more for Blackmire, or whatever it's called, but I never play against him, is the goat. This goat is actually pretty freaking good. It has 2 effects. When it attacks, you can soul blast 1, it gets +5. So just to get those extra magic numbers, just to actually poke your opponent, the +5 really comes a lot from time to time, especially if you are putting a lot of cards into the soul. So it's pretty good. And then the other effect is that whenever you blast 3 and put this card into the bottom of the deck, and then draw 1, and then you can put a card that is in your bind or into the field into the deck. So basically what I do sometimes, is very rare that I actually do that, is that I just call triggers and just put the triggers back. It is not the most optimal thing for to do, but sometimes they come in clutch. And against Blackmire, you can just choose all the cards that get bind face down, since this just grabs a card and puts it in the bottom of the deck in your bind zone. So yeah, and the other effect is that since energy blasts 3, it goes well with 4 color. I was a little bit debatable with 4 color, but after playing 3 copies instead of 2, because well, I got the third one in the mail the other day. Things change a little bit. So yeah, this card, same thing early game, since your Vanguard must be a Gear Dragon, that it is, just basically just draws you 2 cards on turn 2 and clears your board, so your opponent can't really do much. So yeah, so for the great ones, just to see if we can round up, GG's, self-explanatories. Folklore, just drawing cards, that's basically it. You're probably gonna win in the grind game, since you draw a shit ton of cards. I'm only playing 3 copies of Clockwise Dragon. I could play the 4th one, but to be honest, I really don't want to sacrifice the swirlers. I really like the swirlers, and I actually want to play more swirlers. But yeah, swirler is one of those cards that just play it, it gets +5. and it just gets to that magic number that sometimes you do need, especially if you put it in the back of the Vanguard. You can attack with upstream, call this to boost your Vanguard. Soul Charge 1, it gets +5, is a 13, so it just makes very annoying columns. And by himself, if you had them in the back, that's another thing you could do. Call them into the call one into the back one turn, and then the next turn you call another one. Soul Charge 1, they are both 13k, so and obviously with the crest it turns into a 23 or whatever other number. In this card I was debating on cutting it, but the counter charge comes a lot. So yeah, this is a card, especially if you are early game and your opponent doesn't want to give you damage. This card comes a lot, and yeah, you could call it with upstream and counter charge 1. So yeah, same thing with the shield value. It's amazing. The shield value really came a lot, came in clutch a lot. So yeah, that's it for the entire deck profile. For sure, use my deck profile as a reference. The deck code should be in the description below. But yeah, had fun with this. Got second place, cool. Yeah, and other than that, well, yeah. Thanks for watching. Peace.